Now back to the John Riggins Show on Masson and WTOP 103.5 HD3 and worldwide at Riggo44.com.
We welcome you. Thank you for joining us this afternoon here on the John Riggins Show. Kevin, Todd, and Artie are in the studio, along with Leeann Tweeden of NBC's National Heads Up Poker Championship and Poker After Dark. Yeah. And, of course, many other shows that Leann's been on over the years. Most probably best known for Best Damn Sports Show. How long were you on Best Damn Sports Show?
Almost 7 years.
7 years, yeah.
It was
probably
great.
Would be that.
Yeah,
That had to be a lot of fun.
Man, let me tell you, at Best Damn, we did everything because, it was sort of the Tonight Show plus Sports Center plus Red Carpet, Access Hollywood. We did everything.
Just like the John Riggins Show.
Exactly. I mean, but they would send me out. I'd be skydiving with the Blue Angels, and then I'd be at Super Bowl doing stuff. I'd be at Red Carpet premieres. I would go do training camp, spring training. It was really a dream job. I wish that show didn't go away, but we'll just have to find another show.
Not how long has it been on, but how long was it on? Like, was it an hour show?
10 years. Oh, gosh. In the beginning, it was 3 hours long.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
When we had Tom Moore at the very beginning, it was like 3 hours, and then it went to an hour, and then it went to an hour and a half, then it went to 2 hours. And, gosh, I left about a year and a half before it went off the air. I kind of saw the light at the end of the tunnel, and we knew it was sort of drawing down.
It'd run its course.
And I think it was probably back down to an hour. But it did start off. It was a 3-hour, 5-day-a-week live 3-hour show.
It was revolutionary.
It was
in its time.
Like 3 hours for live television. That was grueling.
So what time did you prep and all that? What time did your day start? And what time did you actually start the show in LA?
In LA, gosh, what did we start? Trying to remember now.
I did the show once out there, but I didn't do it at the very top.
It was
afternoon. It was early afternoon or something like it seemed like.
I think it was like 2 to 3-ish we would start. But, coordinating. And I wasn't even in the studio all day because I would be traveling and doing pieces or doing live events or live remotes. I'd be at the Daytona 500. And, it's just sort of insane. So my schedule was always different. And then I'd go in the studio and either throw to a piece that I had just done or we'd be interviewing other people. But it was grueling in the fact that, when it was 3 hours, 3 hours for, just content, and we were, everything was changing on the fly because we were trying to be topical. You try to have a show that's on every day. Yeah. You try to be topical. If something happened an hour before the show started, well, all the production notes went out the door, and you kind of try to, update.
Speed,
it's sort of like Clinton Portis today and all that. You kind of let's talk
about this. We'll do Clinton Portis on Friday here.
So,
we're kind of behind the curve.
A little behind, John.
Yeah,
Todd,
exactly.
you might want to work with him on that.
I've slowed down a little bit.
Yeah, right. Wow. I think you might be walking backwards now.
We're that damn sports show.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
There's nothing best about us at all.
But it was a lot of fun, sports and entertainment and news. We kind of covered it all, so you never got bored. It was fun.
No, you're right about that.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of getting bored, Burgundy and Gold.
Oh.
Getting mad.
How's that set with you?
Well, if you want to go back to my childhood, great.
Where did they?
We all do.
Wow. Ringo and the Fun Bunch and,
The Hogs.
The Hogs and the Hogettes and the one
How about Russ getting in the Hall of Fame this year?
I think that was great.
Yeah, it was. And then Chris Handberger got in, which you might not. Chris maybe a little bit before you.
I think before my time.
A little bit, yeah.
But
he's just newly elected into the Hall of Fame, so congratulations to Chris again.
It's been a rough 10 to 12 years.
What's that? Are you going somewhere with this? I mean, we don't have any trouble on this show being encouraged to go down a certain path.
That's why we're called the Damn Sports Show.
Right.
At least by those folks out at Ashburn.
I think, and you probably know this, Todd, growing up in this area, the rivalry that I was going to say was, but still is in some respect, maybe not like it was when we were kids, Dallas and the Redskins and you really loved or hated one of the other teams. Right. I mean, it was so passionate. Now, I think some people kind of don't care so much. When we were younger, if you lost, everything, you wore it the next day. Everything was, your heart was on your sleeve. But, we used to have parties. I remember my dad having a party at our townhouse growing up, and we'd have this, we'd cook, and everybody come over and watch the Super Bowl at our house. And it was just kind of great memories of sort of bonding with my dad, my brother. I was such a tomboy. I think that's probably why I got so into sports as a kid. And it was all centered around the Redskins. It was just kind of was what we are.
It was a realness.
It
was a realness versus it's manufactured now. And that's the part that really hurts
or
all
the
of it.
bandwagon
It hurts.
people that,
Yes.
suddenly everybody's New
All we
England
have
fan. I'm
are
like,
these
nobody liked New
memories.
England when I grew up. Give me a break. Give me a
And it's
break.
like the Dallas. We joke about it now because there's no Dallas Washington rivalry anymore. It doesn't exist.
Doesn't
It's
exist.
manufactured.
Yeah.
Exactly. And the only I think where it exists is in people's memories. If they're going back, and
Right.
you have to, like Todd's saying, you have to manufacture it somehow to get to that level nowadays. And I think a little bit of it has to do with free agency, with all due respect to
Some of that.
Completely. I
You
think
know,
that has changed the dynamic of,
yeah.
of football completely. When free agency came around and there weren't teams that played their whole careers together or most
Yeah.
of their careers together.
Well, it
Now
was almost
everybody-
impossible to leave a team back in those days.
Exactly. So you had a team that was going to be, if they were good and when they were young, they were probably going to be good for a long time. Now it's, who's going to pay me the most money? Who can I, where can I go? And it's different. And I think it's really hard to sort of hold on to your core people for a long time. If you have something good, maybe they're going to stay, but to get that and then to keep it together is really difficult.
Well, and the reason I say free agency, because I think back to when I played in the very, the era that you're talking about when you were just a young girl, and the way the players felt. And I've told people this, every time we get to talking about Dallas and Washington, and that is, I don't ever recall in all the games we played, and I was here from 76 through 85, which have been about 9 years, twice a year and one time in the playoffs, so you got 18, 19 games. I don't ever remember one time, Leanne, saying anything to a Dallas Cowboy player. Never said a word to him. Just got up and went back to the huddle. And to me, there was that kind of icy relationship the players had, and I don't even say it wasn't a relationship. It was basically it was a Cold War existed between the players of the Cowboys and the players of the Birdie and Gold, and that just
Was that your MO though, to not say anything? I mean, was that how you
I
felt
never did.
about it?
Listen, I was a running back. It didn't do me any good to talk to
Right.
those other guys. It was like I was going to say
trying to
something
hurt
I
me.
was going to regret on the next play, so I
Right.
just kept my mouth shut.
Right. Okay. Well, I mean,
But
there
still,
are people
Dallas-
that get in people's faces. That's their MO, to kind of rile people up and to get it, always make that
Exactly.
comment before they go back to the huddle and sort of always kind of agitating them the entire game. But, I mean, maybe if you're the icy cold guy and the cold, the Iron Curtain, then yeah, maybe that worked for you, Or is
Well,
that just the way it was back then? Because I think back
Well,
then
I
there
think-
wasn't as much smack talking
Well,
as there
even
is
after
now.
the game, I guess that's what I should say. After the game, I went to the locker room. It wasn't like, "Hey, Randy, great game," Randy White or whatever. I mean,
right.
I couldn't stand Randy
And
White.
wasn't
And I've
that-
gotten to
I
know
love
Randy.
Randy.
I
I get
get-
to do Tough Man with him. He's a great guy, isn't he?
Yes, he is.
I know.
That's the
I told him
irony
that's
of this
what I
thing.
said. I go, "You're a cowboy, but I like you now."
Yeah, it's the irony of this thing was when I first met, I couldn't stand Randy
Right.
White all those years we played him. And then I met him when I was going to Las Vegas to do a show out there years ago. And, I met him, and all of a sudden I'm going, "God, what a great guy."
Yeah.
So,
But
but
wasn't
that's what
that
it
the
created.
mutual respect and admiration that you guys had for each other? But
Oh,
once
no,
you
he
guys
still
were
hates
between
me
the
'cause
lines,
he knows I'm a jerk. I like Randy,
He's like
but
that
it's not
damn John
reciprocated.
I tried, Rigo.
Yeah, I cannot tell a lie.
Not so much the mutual respect and admiration.
Oh, it's
No.
a one-way
No.
street,
Yeah.
obviously.
I'm
That
just-
jerk.
Exactly. It's Riggins. Let's get out of here.
Let's send Randy a mug. Maybe that'll.
Yeah, it's like Randy. It was like, what's his name? Rodney Dangerfield. They'd send me up to the bar to get the drinks. When I get back, everybody be going. Go figure. No, but that's the way it was back in those days. And, I don't know. You don't want to second guess anybody today because it's, it's just not the same game at a lot of levels. But, with the way things are going out in Ashburn and what we've seen, so far, I don't know. Were you glad when they hired Mike Shanahan? How did you feel about that?
I was happy. I think there definitely needed to be a change. Look, I love Coach Gibbs, and I was happy when I heard he was coming back.
Yeah,
I just
a
don't
lot
think
of people were.
I don't think it worked the second time around. Or let's again.
No, that's a fair
Or
statement.
let's again go back to my memory of what it was to have Joe Gibbs.
Exactly.
Was completely different than the reality. And
Gibbs 2.0 was a
Well,
different deal.
Right, and he was a lot older. It's a different game. He'd been away from the sport for a long time. It was just different. I think I wanted it to be like it was when I was like, oh, yeah, he's coming back. He's going to be great. And then it was kind of like, it's a little bit of a letdown,
Yeah.
And
That's a fair assessment.
I think to deal with Snyder, that it's going to take somebody like a Shanahan, and I really hope, I think a little bit of this season he showed that, hey, I'm going to drive the boat. You don't tell, you hired me to do these things, and don't come in and try to change what I'm going to do or, question my decisions or whatever. So, look, in this day and age, everybody wants somebody to come in and they want you to win the Super Bowl in the first year and they want you to do it now, or they wanted you to do it yesterday. And I think a lot of times in football, people don't get a long enough time to do anything. You know what I mean? You're fired in like 2 seasons. Well, you can't really build a team and try to do things and get players and acquire things and change your strategies to kind of, before your time is up. And they're like, okay, you're out, let's try somebody new. And it's like, I don't think they give people enough time, So I hope Shanahan's here for a while. I like him. Let's see. I mean, we're going to look back at this in a couple of years and be like, oh, she was stupid. Why? That's another failure.
I'm just going to say I disagree with you. I'm not going to say that you're stupid, but I don't see the same thing personally because
You don't like him?
Well, you know what? It's like there's a lot to figure out there, and I'm not so sure that Mike Shanahan is who he is being billed to be.
Really?
When you think about it, he won a couple of quick Super Bowls with the Denver Broncos, and that was with John Elway as his quarterback. And
who's incredible.
And to say that John Elway, that Shanahan, maybe he was the final piece in the puzzle for Elway, that's a fair statement too. But
sure.
You got to give Elway credit; he did go to 3 Super Bowls
without him
before Mike ever showed up. But now, that one year that he had, that finally Pat Bowlen, the owner, said, "Well, Mike, you got to go."
Right.
And then he was out of football for a year, and all of a sudden, he was the brand, and you got to give him credit that he has, a great brand as a coach.
Sure.
But when you look a little bit further, and I think this is going to turn out to be a mistake. He brought his son Kyle with him, and no matter how you slice this, and particularly last year was really one of those years where you kind of went, Because on the one hand, with McNabb, and there's no way you could get me to believe that Mike Shanahan, that was his idea to bring McNabb in here, which makes me think he's really not running the show 100%.
I can agree with you on those points. So now all of a sudden, there are many moving parts in Ashburn, and there's only one part that really counts out there. That's what I've seen so far. So I think that Mike Shanahan, in the way he handled Hainsworth, and then the deal they did, with yanking him in the Detroit game, talking about McNabb, and then, of course, they benched him for the last 3 games. It's like, what was this all about? Right.
And right when you think a guy, as somebody with a reputation like Mike Shanahan, would come in and basically restore the calm, or to bring, to actually the roiling and all the turmoil that was the team the year before with Jim Zorn on his last year, as they basically,
Jim Zorn.
Yeah, exactly, and actually, pulled the power away from him and did everything to make him quit.
Right.
And yet he persevered.
And again, didn't give him enough time either.
Exactly. And so, what I see now is that I'm going, gosh, Mike, is that the way? He's driving all over the road.
So are you thinking that we're going to yank him and get another coach here soon again?
No. I think that Shanahan will get a look. The big question you have to ask yourself, does he have the chops to really get the job done? And that's kind of the way I'm looking at it, going, I don't know if that's really going to turn out the way everybody hopes. But you never know.
What did you think of McNabb and that deal?
Well, you see, I've never been a big Donovan McNabb fan.
I love him personally. He's a nice
guy. Great guy.
On the football field.
Great
guy.
On the football field.
Great. I thought, I felt like we were starting to turn into like the AARP squad.
Right.
I'm like,
tried to reinvent the over-the-hill gang in today's modern-day football.
Really? Did we have to get everybody in their late 30s? And we've got this.
We did.
I'm like, maybe 10 years ago it would have been great to get him, but gosh, I'm like, we need to get those young players, and we need to get the guys out of the draft, and we need to acquire these young kids and kind of build them up. And it just seems like we just like the old people.
But all that starts organizationally of what you said. It all starts at the very top.
And
what
that's
is
that
your
name
mindset?
I said earlier. Right. And I'm not exactly happy with that person either.
Welcome to the club.
Owning our team, but wadaver.
It is what it is. We got to call it like we say it.
That should be nice, probably. But
he doesn't play cards. Say whatever you want.
He
doesn't play poker.
He's been gambling with our money, and we're not happy.
Yeah, exactly. Making movies and buying theme parks. I don't know.
How's that working out?
Yeah, well,
right.
It could be better. It could be worse. I was telling this to Todd last week, because there is I'd be willing to try, don't get me wrong. In fact, I've been one of the people saying all along, I'm sure it would be nice perhaps if there was some way that ownership changed hands. But there is that other statement that, that sometimes be careful what you ask for. And you think it's bad here, and you think it's bad, sometimes it can actually get even worse. So I'm just throwing it out there.
But it could get better. But it could get better.
Woo! But that's
the other side.
But that's what I'm saying. What are you doing over there?
The bar doesn't get any lower than this. Sorry.
I guess you're right. Elevator only goes so low. It finally gets to the bottom floor.
It's already in the basement.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
You can get as bad, but you can't get worse.
It's in the basement.
All right.
Yeah.
You can get as bad, but you can't get worse.
All right, we're going to take a little time out here. When we continue, we're going to get a little Hollywood gossip.
By the way, is the Burgundy and Gold your only team, or was there any other teams
No,
here?
that's my only football team ever.
No. What I mean is, though, were you ever into the, I guess,
Caps, Wizards, Bullets?
Not really. We weren't into the Orioles. We weren't into baseball really because
didn't
Baltimore seemed so far from Manassas. It wasn't close. So
Kevin's just you just made Kevin's day because Kevin's like Baltimore might as well be Afghanistan.
And I played basketball in school and the Bullets. Sucked. Yeah. My dad took me to one game. They were awful. So that went out the door. I went, okay, and now they're the Wizards, whatever. And then the Capitals, a little bit, but my dad wasn't really into hockey.
Right.
But I got it more into hockey as I got older. And the Capitals, I think, are my team, even though I go see the Kings play since I've lived in LA for so long. But no, really, my team, my one real team is Burgundy and Gold.
Welcome back to D.C., where all our teams pretty much suck right now, Leann.
Although the Nationals spent a lot of money to try to bring some talent. Let's see what happens.
New season brings new life.
We got a new star for you to keep an eye out on.
All right, we're going to get
back
out
out twice today.
Oh, boy. It's only spring training. Come on.
Thank you.
It's only spring training.
Thank you.
True.
Give him a break.
Leeann Tweeden sticking around here as we continue on the John Riggins Show. We're going to get a little Hollywood gossip and dirt. Ask about a little Charlie Sheen, the Oscars, and other train wrecks coming up.
And how they were dressed last night. I've got some things I got to talk about.
All right.
On his every word, even the prepositions. He could disarm you with his looks or his hands. Either way. He can speak French in Russian. He is
John Riggins.
Stay thirsty, my friends.
What did you expect, Leann?
I love that.
Thank you. Yeah.
The most interesting man.
Yeah. There's a few new wrinkles on that. Anyway, we welcome you. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. Leeann Tweeden, NBC TV personality of, what is it, the National Heads Up
Poker
Championship, and then Poker After Dark.
Yes, sir.
Got 2 TV shows going on. She joined us this afternoon.
The
Very
Poker
fortunate
After
to have
Dark.
her.
Yeah.
What's that shooting schedule like? You don't do that?
No, we shoot it every October, and we shoot pretty much all of our season in about 2 weeks.
Are you?
It's kind of like
nice.
what I was telling you about Pat Sajak when he goes
but
out
this
to
thing
do
airs
Wheel of
6
Fortune.
nights a week. How many shows is that?
Well, one show is broken up into 6 airings, hour-long shows. So, or one show, one sitting. So we do a table of 6 players, and they play until there's one winner. And so basically, throughout the week, we do all of our intros and outros during their game, and then they break it up into 6 shows. And the final show, though, it's like 5 days a week, and by the 5th day on Friday, you know who wins. Saturday is our director's cut, which all the players are talking about how they played that week, different hands that they were, they kind of tell you what they were thinking in those hands.
Where they made mistakes
exactly.
or made a
That's
good
the
move.
fascinating part about our show. They sort of go, God, I really didn't put him on that, and I shouldn't have. I'd known it, and then we do outtakes, and it's kind of an interesting. The Saturday night show is the fun one. It's on after Saturday Night Live. I don't like to gamble. Funny enough, but I do love to play charity poker because it's not my money. I mean, when I see pots that those guys are playing live cash games and there's $600,000 in one hand in a pot,
That gets your attention.
Like, my hands get sweaty and my heartbeat gets, I mean, I start getting an ulcer. Like, watching these guys in one hand, 600, really? It just kind of, I can't do it. I don't have the
Well, I'm a
nerves of
terrible
steel
poker
for
player to
that.
begin with. So
You don't have a good poker face?
No, it's just that I'm a terrible player, and I just, if I go to Vegas, I just go to the nearest crap table. I give him a couple $100 and say it saves me a lot of time. I know I'm going to give it to him eventually.
Right.
Why do I want to spend 5 hours there?
Pay the water bill.
It's about the time. It's about the time.
You're right.
So I figured I'll just go do something else and just get squared up with him. Well, you know what? There was, you went to the Bon Jovi concert last night, which is over with about 10:30.
Yes.
And then you ended up at home where you had taped the Oscars.
Right.
And you ended up watching the Oscars till 3:30 this morning.
Yes.
By the way, did they end at midnight last night? Or?
Actually,
What time was it over with?
Do you know that on TiVo, it went right to where they were getting ready to announce, and I had to go look it up online to see who won Best
it
Picture.
went to 43, 45, because I checked my watch going,
they ran
were
over
trying to
that.
get out by 11:30, and they missed it by about 13, 14 minutes.
I was so mad, so I had to look it up. But I was so happy because I wanted King's Speech to win, so I was very happy.
So you've seen it. You've seen King's Speech.
I love it.
How many of the movies
it?
did you see?
Do you know, it's funny.
Of course, there was 10 of them, but basically some of the, like Black Swan.
I saw Black Swan, didn't like it. Saw The Fighter, one of my favorites. King's Speech, one of my favorites. I have Social Network. We were supposed to have, movie night with some of our friends to watch it, so I held off on watching it, and then I never got around to watching it. And I heard it's good.
And then what was the other one? Inception?
Did you see Inception? I loved Inception. Very, very difficult movie to follow and smart, but you have to sort of stay with it. It's one of those. Yeah. It changes at every turn. I loved Inception. I mean, it really makes you think.
You said smart.
Yes,
I watched it and I had a hangover, so that let me in.
So you didn't like it, did you?
Not really. Because it was painful to have to think that hard. It was like, this ain't happening.
Not your type of movie.
Get me another beer, Hannah. This ain't going my way.
But I think the right people probably want. I wasn't too thrilled with Natalie Portman winning, but she had won every other award coming up to it. I thought it was okay.
Oh, she's won best supporting actress.
No, she won best actress.
No, last night, but you said she'd won every other award
leading up to
SAG,
like Golden Globe.
Right,
exactly. Leading up
SAG
to
Awards, Golden Globes.
Gotcha.
But Colin Firth, very happy that he won best actor. And like I said, King's Speech for
it was pretty much a foregone conclusion.
Did you see The Fighter, though?
No, I haven't seen it yet.
What a great
that
movie.
Well, my wife and I went out.
I've seen it twice.
It's that good.
It's that good.
Well, we went out to see King's Speech on Saturday night, and I told her when I looked it up online to see, the theater, and it said, some of them said buy tickets online. This didn't say that, and I thought, that ain't a good sign. So we showed up, and sure enough, it was sold out. And I thought the night before the Oscars, what were we thinking? The 7:30 showing.
Didn't they know you were John Riggins?
Yeah.
Do you know who I am?
I tried that.
Yo.
Then they went up to Diesel.
Yeah, can we interest you in True Grit, sir?
Security.
I was thinking about True Grit. By the way, speaking of True Grit, Kirk Douglas. Last night to start the thing going.
Wow.
But see, you guys got it all wrong. And
did you like it?
Well, they only missed one part. They missed one part with Kirk. They should have wheeled him out in a coffin. Then he sits up and does his bit. It would have worked. It would have worked.
That's actually kind of a funny.
Think about it. Kirk Douglas is
in his greatest role ever.
Yeah. He can't make up his mind which way he wants to go. He's thinking about going up there.
Look, I have respect for my elders, and he's a legend in Hollywood. But it just seems so. Everything about this year's Oscars was supposed to be about the young kids. You know what I mean? It was about young Hollywood, young. The host. I thought it was terrible, and then they bring the complete opposite.
But that was gratuitous to keep that older demo engaged early in the show.
Still, the older people are going to watch it, period, because everybody wants to know who's going to win. But that it seemed painful. It was almost embarrassing.
It was.
And then when he announced the winner, he kind of fumbled. And I know he was trying to play along and be funny and kind of like, and the winner, anyways. And, that was kind of funny. But it was just
painful.
So drug out. It was so... I don't know.
Didn't feel right to me.
You know what? On a serious note, you have to see. To me, he's an old war horse, and a guy that has been. This was his life. And when you think about old Hollywood, Kirk Douglas was as glamorous a movie star as there was.
Yeah.
Yes.
Him and Burt Lancaster, that whole era. And so, you look at it in different ways. And I looked at a gallant old man or gallant, however the words, and he went out and he did the best he could under the circumstances.
Sure. And he had just had a stroke, so I mean that was why his
and
speech
you had
was
to
sort of
you've got
weird
to have a little compassion, and so you can say they missed or didn't miss, and yet he still. And my wife said it best, that, he's still down deep inside, has got it. He's right there. He's in tune. He knows what he's doing.
His mind knows what to do, but
it wasn't coming out, I think, because of the whole, the
Right.
speech
Yeah.
and everything.
I don't
saying, but people take that one of two ways. Some people can be put off by it and say, you know what, that's almost, cruel to send somebody out like that. And other people will look at it and say, to see him one last time in the flesh, up on a
mind him
stage,
being out there.
there's something historical about
Why
that.
so long?
I just thought it was drug out, but
Yeah.
I
But he
think
couldn't
he
do
did
it.
it
He
himself.
couldn't help it.
Well, and he kind of kept dragging it out himself, sort of like.
he was enjoying the moment.
Right.
I mean,
So I think
At our
they could.
expense.
I think the
Hey, I
people
can't knock the
directing.
guy, because I'm telling you what, if I'm 95,
we're
I'm going to
dragging,
do the same
we're
damn
dragging
thing.
Rigo off at FedEx
Right.
Field.
If they invite me to the
Gotta
Hall
have
of
the
Canton,
food. Right.
It was all of
Leanne
that.
will be there getting with a hook.
Right.
Get that guy
Exactly.
off of
It
here.
was all an act because he had
Yeah.
Charlie Sheen's number. He was texting him right after he went off.
Chuck, where you at?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
really.
Nobody
Exactly.
knows that Kirk was getting down heavy because I think, Kirk, didn't he make a pass at what's her name before he got off the stage?
Anne Hathaway. Anne
Yeah.
Hathaway.
Ooh,
You
could be
can't be all that. See?
his great granddaughter.
He's still got something going. What's that?
Great.
His great granddaughter.
Great.
Sometimes the mind just goes and it goes.
But overall impressions of the show.
I didn't like it.
I didn't either.
I don't know. It seemed sort of awkward at times. It seemed like James Franco was sort of either high or
Yes.
didn't care, like he wanted to be there, and then she was sort of overcompensating,
Right.
like kind of like, hi, look at me, because he's not. And I was
And
like,
didn't
really?
you think that
Yeah.
for the two of them, it's almost, I think they did the best they could. It's almost bad to
Right.
put them in that position.
Right. And the Oscars, those two?
Yeah.
I mean, not that I think it's great. He came from soap opera and General Hospital, but suddenly you make one kind of indie movie that gets popular, and
Right.
next thing you know, you're
What
hosting
movie
the
was it?
Oscars.
Was that the 127 hours?
Right.
Which was an okay movie. I know the story of the rock climber that had to cut his arm off.
Oh, that's
Right.
Oh.
But I mean, he came from General Hospital. Next thing in like 1 year, he's hosting the Oscars with Anne
Right.
Hathaway, who I'm like, she's an okay actress.
They
I'm
didn't
not-
have any gravitas. Give me an Alec Baldwin,
Right.
a
Yeah,
Steve Martin, a
Baldwin.
Billy Crystal, or
Right.
whoever.
That's
because
what I used to remember. The
Right.
Oscars were. That was that level. Now
Right.
it kind of seems like they're bringing the Oscars down to sort of this level. I'm like, really? They used to be so prestigious, and now
Yeah.
it's kind of like
And
not
it felt
so much.
as such because she was so enamored. Oh, I'm so happy I'm hoping in the Oscars.
Right.
About the
You're supposed to
second
be a
hour,
little
like,
cool.
you're in the moment, girl. Okay,
Yeah.
let's go. It was.
And
Act
that's-
like you're supposed to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, Leanne, and I'm saying this, you would have done a better job than Anne Hathaway because this is what you do.
Well,
You're
thank you.
spontaneous and you're in the moment.
Right.
And-
There is a definite difference between
Absolutely.
hosting and acting.
Yeah,
Complete
and
difference.
you get your lines and you study your lines and you put,
Right.
you lay down the emotional bed for all that stuff. Because what Todd just said, I thought the very beginning when they did the bit with Alec Baldwin and Morgan Freeman,
Mm-hmm.
and they would, they were in the dream and they were kind of playing off of Inception
Right.
and all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Now you could tell right away that Alec Baldwin's got it down. He is that guy.
Right. He
he's-
knows how to ad lib and be funny.
Absolutely, he can nail his lines. He'll do the. I mean, that's a guy.
And he
that
understands
is-
the moment.
He's
Right.
he's
Timing.
just that guy. He is that
Timing.
persona. And Johnny Carson for years was
Yes.
always had that.
Brilliant.
And Bob Hope before him.
Yep.
I mean, there's
It's
certain
timing.
people that can do that, and some people can't. And they unfortunately these two are actors. And they're not personalities.
Right.
And
Right.
there's
And
a big difference.
you know what's awkward is-
And Baldwin is actually both.
No, he's great because he is a comedian too. And the
Yes.
thing about actors that go up and read, don't you always see like even the Grammys when they put two hosts together to introduce something, they have them reading their little lines, and it's always a joke written into the lines, but they read it and they're like, "Ha ha, John, don't you think it's
Yeah.
funny that Todd is sitting over there with a striped shirt on?" And instead of being like, "God, isn't it funny? He's over there," but they're reading it, so
My
it
shirt funny,
gets times
Leanne?
very.
Right.
They don't know how to sort
I
of
think
give
it's hilarious.
it, relaxed, and that's the difference between actors. They just sort of read, and they're reading the joke, and it's not funny.
I agree.
And it's kind of an awkward.
Well, it's
sort
all
of
in the
time.
subtext is what where they give it the meaning, and
Right.
if you're just reading it and you don't really get
Right.
where it's going,
And then it's like, ha ha, and No,
But you
not
give
really.
them give them that line though, and let them take it home for a night and come back in the morning.
Right.
I will own it.
Don't,
Yeah,
right.
they will.
Don't
just
even write it in the prompter.
Stop,
just,
or
just,
I'll shoot.
It's funny and it's funny and
haha. Yeah.
it's so funny you start crying. So good.
Right.
Rigo,
It was
Rigo was going nuts over the men last night and the sloppiness.
It was.
it was
I was not
awful.
impressed with a lot of the women's dresses and
What dress
lack
did
of-
you like the best?
Oh my gosh.
I thought Anne Hathaway's actually her dress to be out on the stage. I thought it was okay.
The white one? Which one?
The white one.
The white- yeah,
and
that was
Gwyneth
pretty.
Paltrow, I thought, had a nice dress on last night.
James
The
Franco had a
nude
nice
color
one.
one?
James Franco.
Oh yeah, Marilyn Monroe. That might have been the best one.
Wow.
That was another one
And that
of
was
those
sort of an
clunkers.
awkward moment.
Oh,
It was
that
kind
was
of like,
a
why did he
clunkers.
come? I mean, I understand
Yeah.
it. She was, but it was just sort of like they just stuck it in
They
thinking it would
threw
be
it
funny.
on there, yeah. And it was like,
but that was
woo.
it.
Yeah, it was not
They
good.
didn't develop it. There was no
Awkward.
there was no after. I don't know.
It was
that
not
was kind of
good.
weird. I didn't like her nude dress.
Gwyneth
When she
Paltrow?
was singing.
Oh no,
Well,
you're
must
talking.
have
No, you're talking about a different one that she had
Oh,
out
was
on
she
the red carpet.
Yes,
Oh,
that
she
was
changed?
pretty.
Yes.
Yeah,
She
she
changed-
changed when she was singing into a nude dress that I
Kind
didn't
of a
like.
singing dress,
you
Rigo?
know.
A nude dress? How's that
It was
work?
a nude color. So it just kind of
Ah.
blended in. She's already kind of pale and blonde. It just sort of didn't work.
Faded away.
He wanted to know
He's
about the
stuck
nude
on
part.
nude.
I missed that.
Nude,
yeah,
wait,
Isn't that one of them Moxie Mo runs?
exactly.
I've never seen a nude
He's
dress.
like, I'm gonna go look
If
that
it's
up on
a dress.
that internet. Yeah.
Artie, see if you get a nude dress before Leanne leaves. I want to give her a present.
That.
Besides the mug. Besides, a little something to remember the John Riggin Show by your experience here.
Yeah.
I'm sure
A
your
little
husband would
something,
love to
something.
see you in that dress.
Yes.
Oh, there was a cricket. I heard one.
No.
Cricket.
Well, there you go.
But yeah, you're right. The guys were a little sloppy. Jude Law.
I had three of
and-
them. I had Downey Jr.
Yes.
His tie was all
Well, it was
boxed
low
up.
and not even
somebody
tight.
had one of them like cockeyed off to the side, and I can't think if that
Oh,
was
who was
Downey
that?
Jr. It might have been Downey Jr. because he was with his wife. I
He
think.
had the white. He had the white formal tie
and it was
on.
like
Right.
you know,
You
he
had-
didn't even bother
Wasn't Marky
straightening.
Mark a little
Yeah,
guy?
yes,
Not
yeah.
tight?
He had a big.
And
he had
then
a
Mark
big gap.
Ruffalo, he looked like a penguin because his suit was
tight.
so tight. Yeah, it looked like they poured. I mean,
Yeah.
You
come on,
know,
guys, I'm a stumble-bum
I
football
don't know
player,
what
and I can
happened,
see
but
that.
back in the day when you came to the Oscars, it was so prestigious.
Regal.
Everybody was like to the hill. Exactly. It was almost like you were in front of the queen. Everybody was so perfect and prim and proper. Now it just seems like, yeah, I got to put on the tux because it's a tux thing, but it's like we're not going to make sure we cross all
Right.
the T's and dot all the I's.
We're
It just
too-
kind
And
of.
you remember when you
Lax.
show those? They show those old clips of Bob Hope and Johnny Carson. They had
Yes.
white ties on. They were in
With
tails.
tails. Thank you very much. That's what my husband, we
It
got
was.
married in.
It was
Yes.
very regal. I mean, it didn't get any bigger or
It was as formal
luxurious.
as it was going to get.
Yeah.
That's right. And then
then
now
you
it's
get
just, but like I said, just everybody's attitudes, the hosts, the way they're kind of doing the show now.
Yeah.
It's like they're dumbing it down.
That's not
It's-
good.
No,
That's not good.
because
One of is there any other event that's bigger
no.
than the Super Bowl and the Oscars are it as far as
Right.
TV production and what goes into
Right.
that?
And maybe the World Series or something. But yeah,
Still would pale to that.
What
I
about
mean,
the horse race in Kentucky?
Well, Kentucky
the
Derby?
Well, I'm talking about from a TV perspective and a worldwide audience and what the night means.
right?
Viewing audiences and
I
for
see.
that.
And
Right.
and the
The
length and the
stage.
actual length
Yeah.
of what you're going to
Right.
see because
Sure.
they both last about the Super Bowl lasts all day on Sunday basically, but the game even itself.
About 3-hour performances.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. So I get that. Well,
And they went
Leanne, we're going to have
along.
to let you go.
I know. We didn't even get to
Aw.
Charlie
We hate to.
Sheen.
Oh
Sorry.
man, you'll have to come back and see us.
I know, right?
Or call in.
We'll give a live
I'll call in.
satellite hookup from LA.
Right.
We
I
gotta
can.
get
I
the-
can do.
Well, Artie, I'm sure
Ooh,
we'd
that's
happy
right,
to
yeah.
fly
The computer
and
feed.
get you on the iPhone and beam it back to us here. I think
See?
Artie
yeah,
would go
I
on that
can Skype
assignment.
or do something with you
Yeah,
guys
we got
on
the
my
technology.
computer.
We have the technology,
That's
Leanne.
right. That's why we love it. And you
Leanne
can put the box
Tweeden.
in the box, you know.
That's right.
We thank you so much for joining us
Thanks
this
for
afternoon.
having me,
and
John.
enjoy the day tomorrow. Enjoy your trip back to
Thank
LA,
you.
and we'll look for you on NBC's Poker
After dark.
After Dark.
But
Okay.
thank you for having me. It's always an honor to be here with you guys. All of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Leanne.
Thank you.
All right, Todd, we'll be right back. What do we got?
Coming back, Rigo, we are going to get into a little NBA action. Bryce Harper made his Washington Nationals debut.
Made
You
Todd's
want to
day.
hear about this? Coming up next.